Oliver Jr., parentpreneur expert and author of the book, The More You Hustle, the Luckier You Get. You can be a successful parentpreneur. Today I'm reading chapter 16 in the book, which is called How Desperation Caused My First Startup to Fail. I know I've been saying this a lot lately, but this too is one of my favorite chapters in the book. It just is. I don't know. But anyway, you can get the book at themoreyouhustle.com. You can also get it on Kindle, iBooks, and per usual, continue tagging your friends who are parents and entrepreneurs or people who just, not necessarily completely satisfied with the direction their life is going and looking for some introspective moments with some of the nuggets that are in the book, because I'm told there are lots of really thoughtful nuggets in the book. But without further ado, let's jump right into chapter 16. Chapter 16, How Desperation Caused My First Startup to Fail. In 2002, I unsuccessfully attempted to start a digital lifestyle magazine for black golf enthusiasts called 7 Under. To this day, when I mention the project to someone, the response I usually get is, wow, that sounds like an interesting idea. Why did it fail? It took me several years to come up with the real answer to that question. The oversimplified answers are: 1, my partner and I lacked previous publishing experience. 2, we didn't have enough money to have a real shot at success. 3, the timing was bad because Vanguard Media, which at the time was a dominant player in the black magazine space, had just filed for bankruptcy. Advertisers were not keen on a new publication in the same category. 4, we were ahead of our time with plans to launch a digital-only version of the magazine in a pre-iPad era. While there is truth in all those answers, none of them is the real truth. The real reason the magazine failed is because I was too desperate. What is desperation? Here's one of my favorite quotes about desperation. Quote, desperation is a necessary ingredient to learning anything or creating anything, period. If you ain't desperate at some point, you ain't interesting, end quote, Jim Carrey. While Jim Carrey is funny as usual, it's this next quote that is more relevant to the failure of 7 Under. Desperation, quote, desperation is like stealing from the mafia. You stand a good chance of attracting the wrong attention, end quote, Douglas Horton. People can smell desperation a mile away, and it causes them to run in the opposite direction. Why so desperate? I was a newly minted MBA from the Keenan Flagler Business School at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I was ready to take on the world. I would be remiss as a good Tar Heel if I didn't toss in the requisite chant of "Go to hell, Duke." By the way, I spelled Duke, D-O-O-K, not the other way. It's Duke, D-O-O-K. Anyway, I digress. But I digress. While trying to get the magazine off the ground, I worked part-time at a 9-hole golf facility in New Jersey, which paid $10 an hour. I took the job, however, because it gave me a chance to learn the golf business and get to know industry insiders. Plus, I could meet with potential investors in Manhattan on my days off. After 2 years of pouring money into the business, earning very little income, and being met by scores of potential investor rejections, desperation took hold. I'm convinced it killed any chance of getting the money needed to launch the magazine. Investors could tell I was desperate, and they wanted nothing to do with the magazine or me. A little fun before failure. Working on the magazine wasn't all doom and gloom. I also had lots of fun. Like the time I appeared on ESPN's Cold Pizza. It's since been canceled. Perhaps because of me? Then there was a time my partner and I played golf with ESPN anchor and fellow Tar Heel Stuart Scott, rest in peace Stuart, and his buddy at TPC Avenel. We beat them for $20 each. The look on their faces was priceless when I hit a 6-iron close to the hole on a par 3 and made the putt to win the match. Prototype evolution. Here's a very crude mock-up of an early prototype with Sir Charles on the cover. With the help of NBA commentator Greg Anthony, Barkley agreed to grace the cover of the first issue of the magazine once we launched. I got to know Greg after I sort of cold called him. Greg is a really good dude. So following that is the copy of the mock-up and then the prototype with Jason Kidd on the cover. So the prototype. Above is an autographed copy of the actual prototype with Jason Kidd on the cover when he was the point guard for the New Jersey Nets. We took 10 copies of the prototype for Jason to sign. He signed 7 and kept 3 for himself. Pretty cool, huh? If you look closely, you'll notice a spelling error. I'm not going to point it out for you, which 10 years later still chaps my hide because it somehow occurred after the final proof from the designer. Key takeaways. What did I learn from 7 Under that I can apply to my latest startup? A few things. 1, no matter how hard things seem, I will never, ever, ever appear desperate. 2, the proper way to operate. So underneath that is a picture of a duck, and with the slogan it says, entrepreneurs should be like a duck, calm on the surface, paddling like hell underneath. 3, according to former Apple evangelist Guy Kawasaki, real CEOs ship. I guess that means I wasn't a real CEO when I tried to launch 7 Under. Okay, I accept that. Despite the fact that I want We Monetize to be successful as much as I want to draw my next breath, you will never know it because I'm not desperate. Never give up. What lessons have you learned from your failed startup endeavors? Hit me up on Twitter at James Oliver Jr. and tell me about it. So there you go. That's chapter 16. You know, desperation stinks. Don't do it. Don't. So anyway, you can find the book at themoreyohustle.com. I promise you will be inspired by it. Tag a friend who's a parentpreneur or entrepreneur or thinking about taking the plunge, thinking about starting a side hustle, not really happy with where they are in their station in life and thinking about just doing things a little differently. I think they'll be inspired by the book. So that's it. themoreyohustle.com. Appreciate y'all. Love.